So the fire in my heart is burning out as a half Asian, and I would like to leave this video kind of as a final last warning to anybody that's going to watch it, because I remember back in the day when I was a half Asian, young half Asian guy, and how much the pain was, how real the pain was, and how desperate you can feel looking like an Asian guy, having that feeling that nobody, including your own mother and father, even wants you to exist, the feeling that there is no protection against racism from society, and that nobody will listen to you because, frankly, a white nationalist dad who doesn't believe that racism exists and goes for Asian women, frankly, because he wants to maximize on his whiteness, well, that isn't exactly the best parent, is it? So I can tell you the amount of desperation, mental illness, and self-hatred that is rampant among half Asians is going to lead to some very, 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 very bad half Asians. Even being very, very good looking, even having a lot of money, even having a very good education is not enough to prevent a massive, massive mental breakdown, as we have seen in a Columbia-educated male model who went crazy in Times Square, like this guy, Crit McLean, or this girl who comes from a $100 million family and whose father was vice president of Goldman Sachs in Manhattan and went across the bridge for $200 to do a porno in New Jersey. And not any kind of porno, but one in which she was face-fucked so hard that she vomited on the man's wiener and she started to bleed from her vagina. You know why half Asians have so many problems? Why don't you sit back and critically examine why white men, Asian women is so common and there's nothing of the reverse? Why don't you critically examine why Asian women are so highly fetishized by white Western men and Asian men are put down? And critically examine why Asian women like white men largely for power, status, and integration, and think about what this means for the children, especially the male children. The answer is probably something very, very bad, and I, Eurasian Tiger, said it first. Do you want to know why half Asian children with white dads and Asian moms are going to be high risk in the future? Let me explain to you in this video. The majority of white women prefer white men. The majority of Asian women also prefer white men. Majority of women on planet Earth prefer their own men, except for one exception, Asian women. Asian women are the only group of women who seek to escape their own ethnic group. Indians do not, Arabs do not, Mexicans do not, whites do not. Asian women will marry white men because Asian men are undesirable to Western society. Asian women will marry whites because they want to integrate and escape Asianness. Asian women will marry whites because they want status. Asian women are the only people on earth who hate their own men more than anyone else and will do anything to escape Asianness and aligning with Asian people. And to find integration, Asian women actively go out of their way to attack Asian males for their appearance and low worth. Asian women will actively effeminize and denigrate Asian men in front of their Asian looking children and sons. Asian women have some of the world's highest rates of mental illness, which combined with self-hatred of Asianness plus a father's mental illness is a lethal combination in biracial children. Asian women will push their children as being a master race to create a safety net for the insanely hateful disparity, despite no other race doing this, e.g. half Indians, half Arabs, half whites, half Indians do not push their children as being master race. Only whites and Asian women do this as a way to cover for the very, very frightening disparity. Asian women are the only women on earth who lack a certain skull shape that makes them feel less attractive than non-Asian women, whereby they have a tremendous outmarriage rate. Half Asian sons are 200% aware of the massive disparity where the majority of half Asians have white dads. Thus, many half Asians internalize since childhood that being an Asian male is the worst thing possible. Because Asian women are world famous for having the highest outmarriage rates, they tend to attract men who see them as being replacement women for women that they really wanted, such as white, Latina, or black women. White men who like Asian women are oftentimes low-key or even high-key racist like white nationalists and deliberately target women who they feel will appreciate them for their whiteness when they fail with other women. White men who like Asian women see them as being traditional or anti-black, and so Asian women are loved by racist white men who want to take the power back and to exert masculinity via dominance or racial proxy. White men who like Asian women are unusually racist beyond the point of normally racist, racist, and even against Asians that still sleep with Asian women because they're all they can get, oftentimes using their Asian partner as an excuse to legitimize open racism. E.g., I'm not racist, my wife is Asian. That's whereby it's okay for me to be racist because she agrees with me. White men look at Asian women as a default fallback plan if they can't succeed with white women, meaning that they abuse and treat Asian women like second place prizes and look at their children as second place children. White men who like Asian women are oftentimes ugly and antisocial and want Asian women because they can feel big and wanted, and these men usually hate Asian men the most out of insecurity, and they hate half Asian men and even hate Asian men and non-Asian women, and even hate Asian men and Asian women, meaning that millions of white men who prefer Asian women fundamentally hate Asian men. And yet these are the same guys that are raising Asian sons. Asian women are perfectly fine marrying very ugly, unattractive, and emotionally disturbed white men due to their innate self-hatred, and because Asian culture has long existed where looks were never valued and only status was, means that when translated into Western culture, Asian women are perfectly fine marrying ugly, antisocial, Asperger, autistic white guys. White men who like Asian women oftentimes resent white women and feminism. White men who like Asian women are oftentimes antisocial nerds who use Asian women as a fallback plan due to Asian women being self-hating, meaning that half Asian sons inherit both their Asian mother's looks as well as their white father's inability to procreate with a white or non-Asian woman. White men who like Asian women express anger at white women and black men and white women and try to use their children as a political tool against the children of black men and white women. White men see Asian women as being almost white replacement white children and hope that their sons look white. In some cases, white male pedophiles target Asians specifically because they are viewed as being both childlike and unable to notice red flags in white males due to their perception of white men being very high status. This applies to more Eurasian children than you think, being subjected to emotional and physical abuse by their white fathers. White men who like Asian women look down on Asian men the most because they are the most insecure and want to feel big over the only men that they feel should be lower than them, and by default they fail to fathers to their own sons. E.g., white men who prefer Asian women generally are the men that white women and non-Asian women do not want, so white men go after Asian women as a last chance for them to maximize on their whiteness when they have nothing else going on in their life, and so they naturally hate Asian men because Asian men are the only thing that should be lower than them, despite them being the lowest loser on the planet. White men who like Asian women like them because they can maximize on their whiteness as a man, despite being a loser elsewhere in life. White men like Asian women know that their whiteness is their value, so many of these men are over-the-top racists, more so than even white couples, meaning that white men and Asian women have something called racist Tourette's, where they literally cannot shut up about either white women or Asian men, or black people, or mere Arab people, or Muslims, or Hispanics, or any other group. White men who go for Asian women oftentimes are conservative and actively try to fight anti-white discourse, the irony being that they go for Asian women because they feel that Asian women are incredibly traditional and pro-white, whereby the guys that are raising half Asian sons are the guys that are most prone to ignoring their sons' complaints. White guys who go for Asian women oftentimes are less desirable, effeminate, or even gay, or sometimes even have mental problems that are inherited by the children, and a lot of these white guys can be classified as plain out weird. White men are clueless how to raise non-white sons, and ironically, because conservative white men love Asian women the most, they are the least concerned with their child's development, meaning many half-Asian children are left to stew like Elliot Rodger. Asian women feel that they are almost white and are highly privileged, and some even attempt to look white. Asian women hype up their half-Asian children's Western features and light coloring, which oftentimes changes into adulthood, and they feel resentful of their children because their children look either whiter than them, yet not white enough. Asian women truly believe they are white since white men want to have sex with them and think that their children are white even when their children clearly look Asian, meaning that many Asian women will clearly ignore that their children are being abused, and because Asian women belong to an Asian culture that is cutthroat and ruthless and doesn't care about morality, means that Asian women are the worst possible mothers to half Asian children. Half Asian children such as myself start out with very light features that become gradually darker with age, meaning that the child never learns to deal with racism at a young age, and in some some cases, when it hits them in the face later on, it means a major snap. Asian women treat their children differently on who looks less Asian, meaning that the whiter child is favored. Asian women will abuse their Asian-looking children, and oftentimes Asian-looking Eurasians will ruin marriages because Asian women that are married to white men, when they are seen with an Asian-looking child, are just assumed to be marrying to an Asian man, and that means that the Asian woman loses her status at the right hand of the white man, meaning that she will resent her Asian-looking child, and this will oftentimes cause a marriage to divorce, like mine. Half Asian children are oftentimes pushed as replacement white children. Half Asian children want badly to prove they are white and not Asian due to their mothers seeking white privilege and white children. Half Asian men are kept in between Asian mothers who want integration into white countries for power and status, and between the appearance of Asian men who have long been represented as an alien enemy to the West. The poor balance between marginalization of Asianness plus a mother who wants white children plus a conservative pro-white father drives most half Asian sons crazy. Half Asian children will undergo extreme body alteration to look non-Asian because their mothers underwent the ultimate body alteration, giving birth to a half-white child. Half Asian children are the only biracial children whose parents actively support racism against their own children, leaving them with no community. No other biracial pairing works day after day after day to show how white men are superior. White dads and Asian moms ignore their children's complaints and just tell them, "You're white, son." Half Asian sons oftentimes look very Asian yet want to identify as white. Half Asian sons oftentimes look even uglier than monoracials and even more feminine than most Asian men because they have white fathers that are more feminine than most white men. Half Asian sons are told they are superior when this is an excuse for Asian women to outmarry at rates that no other race does. Half Asian sons have insane expectations for their self-image which doesn't match the racism they face in the real world, and they aren't prepared for racism. Half Asian sons face racism despite being told they are white, meaning they have white fragility plus Asian looks. Half Asian sons expect white privilege but fail to get it, meaning that they are high risk for school shooter syndrome, even adding onto the fact that the former school shooters, white guys, are their actual fathers. Asian and half Asian men are denigrated in the media constantly and denigrated at home by their parents. Asian women and white men will constantly make jokes in the home about Asian males while the son looks Asian. Asian self-hatred is due to their facial features, which subjects them to intense gendered racism. Asian women tend to attract men who prey on their perceived weakness. If you don't believe this, just Google the Juggernaut Law. White women do not want Asian men or Eurasian men. Asian women hope for daughters, hence why most Eurasians are female and become resentful if their son looks too Asian. Asian sons essentially can completely destroy marriages and the image of integration that Asian women harbor and hope for. Asian women who marry white men are particularly crazy, mentally unbalanced, and want white children and an image of integration and status. And when the husband doesn't give them that, or doesn't give them enough money or status, or just realize, and the Asian woman realizes that he's just a monumental loser, which is the case with 99% of most white men that have yellow fever, the women snap and become violent and start swinging knives and beating the husband and the children. Asian women can be particularly emotionally abusive due to Asian culture, meaning that they will harass their children, their husbands, white women, and other Asian women, Asian male white woman couples, Asian male black woman couples, and even Asian male Asian woman couples. Asian women go out of their way to attack Asian male non-Asian female couples, which their children pick up on, meaning that children like Ellie and Roger will also attack Asian male white woman couples. Asian women tiger mom beat their children and emotionally abuse their husbands and everyone around them. Asian women do not want Asian men or Eurasian men and will even turn down Asian-looking Eurasian men because to even express interest in a Eurasian man means that Asian women will lose their privilege with the white man. Asian women confuse their sons by pushing them towards Asian women while encouraging their daughters to marry white. Asian women and white male couples are tolerated by society, yet Asian male and Eurasian male white women couples are not. Since many Eurasian men look completely Asian, a lot of Eurasian men are harassed not only by white men but by Asian women. Asian women and white male couples will attack white women and Asian male couples constantly. Asian women hate white women because white women remind them of their competition for high status societal positions. White men who like Asian women hate Asian men and even hate Asian male white woman couples for representing what they represent, what they fail to get despite being lower in the sexual totem pole. White men resent when their sons date Asian women or white women. Half Asian sons are completely emasculated. Half Asian sons are the only group of people on earth that are excluded for their race, both by women that look like them and women that don't look like them, but more so by women who go on to be their own mothers. Half Asians are promised privilege and whiteness, yet the world, including Asian women and white men, still see them as fully Asian. Half Asians desperately try to identify as white and will do anything to prove it, including wearing blue contacts, joining white nationalist groups, becoming alt-right, dyeing their hair blonde. Half Asians inherit their father's entitlement to the world and go crazy when they are not treated like gods. Half Asians obsess over white women due to their disgust by the behavior of Asian women and hate Asian male-white women couples the most. Asian women feel resentful that they are limited to the least attractive white men, and the marriages often end in divorce or are violent, loveless, sexless, and fetishistic. Asian women turn out to be more controlling than the white men expected, and so violence occurs against them and their children. Asian women oftentimes don't fit the mold of being a stereotypical submissive geisha that unstable, violent, racist white men want. So the white men oftentimes become resentful and will oftentimes even kill the Asian husband. So the white men will become resentful and oftentimes violent against the Asian woman and children. White men resent their Asian wives for not being white or for being too controlling and snap. White men resent their Asian sons for reminding them that they could not get a white woman. Half Asians are bullied by the white majority and reminded constantly that they are inferior because they are half Asian. Half Asians will even treat other half Asians differently on how Asian they look, with whiter looking half Asians having higher status and being more popular. Half Asians treat looking Asian as the worst thing possible. Half Asian women are just as hateful as Asian women, and half Asian women will even turn down half Asian men because half Asian men look too Asian. So half Asians will...
And the shockwave could be heard from miles.